Welcome to Lord's Day 33 of the Heidelberg Catechism. We just celebrated Easter. Depending upon when you're watching this, it could have been yesterday, it could have been a few days ago, or even last week or sometime in the distant past. But it doesn't really matter. As Christians, we celebrate a little Easter each and every Sunday. Does that mean that we celebrate a small Easter each Sunday? Or maybe that phrase means that we celebrate a little part of Easter each Sunday. Maybe that doesn't really matter either. Maybe I'm just rambling at the moment. On Easter, we celebrate the day when Jesus broke the bonds of sin and death once and for all as he came out of the tomb, leaving it empty except for his grave clothes. There's a song called Rattle that has a line that says, "Friday's disappointment is Sunday's empty tomb." There were all kinds of emotions, including disappointment, as well as other sad and sorrowful kind of emotions on that first Good Friday. But Sunday brought something else. It brought new life. Out of death came life. And Jesus did that for himself, but also he did that for all who would believe. So each Sunday, we gather physically and spiritually and celebrate once again as we worship and praise our great God. Worship gives us an opportunity each and every time we do it to recognize again that Jesus broke the power of sin and death for us, for you, for me. I think that's the concept of having a little bit of Easter each and every Sunday. But we can't forget Good Friday, because each time we remember, we also remember that we were crucified with Christ. We died with him, but the good news is that we rise with him. We rise to new life. Listen to these words from Romans chapter 6, verses 6 to 11. I'm using the New Living Translation. Paul says, "We know that our old sinful selves were crucified with Christ, so that sin might lose its power in our lives. We are no longer slaves to sin. For when we died with Christ, we were set free from the power of sin. And since we died with Christ, we know we will also live with him. We are sure of this because Christ was raised from the dead, and he will never die again. Death no longer has any power over him. When he died once to break the power of sin, but now that he lives for the glory of God. So you also should consider yourselves to be dead to the power of sin and alive to God through Christ Jesus. As we rise with Christ, we live a new life. But this new life is based upon the life of Christ. Paul says these words in Galatians 2, verse 20. He says, "My old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me." Several years ago, John Wimber, founder of the Vineyard Fellowships, talked with a new Christian about changes in his life. This new Christian, his name was Harry, had made a decision for Christ, and much of his life was different. For years, Harry had dropped by the same bar every day after work, more for the friendship than for the beer. The next Monday, Harry walked into the bar as usual, and his friends asked, "How's it going?" Harry ordered a beer and proceeded to describe for them how he gave his life to Christ. Suddenly, his friends lapsed into this stony silence, and Harry began to feel uncomfortable and out of place. Over the next day or two, Harry noticed that the cigarette smoke bothered him for the first time. The beer didn't taste as good as it used to, and the coarse language was suddenly foreign to him. By midweek, Harry realized he no longer belonged in the bar. As he talked with Wimber, Harry wanted to understand how everything could change so quickly and drastically. "That's easy," John Wimber said. "You're a new man with a new heart and desires. You'll never enjoy the old life again." Now, this story is not condemning smoking or drinking or bars. The story simply illustrates that as you accept Christ, as you die with him and are raised to new life with him, things will change. The old things you cherished in life may just not taste good any longer, so to speak. Those old things will be replaced over time with new things that will taste much sweeter. Again, I'll post the questions and answers for this Lord's Day in the post itself. This ends Lord's Day 33. We'll see you next week for Lord's Day 34.